afternoon, everyone. Welcome back again on BCI Infrastructure eConclave. We are having very eminent speaker with us, Mr. Pawan Kumar, IRS Deputy Managing Director, IFCL. Uh, his topic is infrastructure finance, a bitter spot in new normal economy. Mr. Pawan Kumar is an IRS officer of 1990 batch and passed MCOM from Sriram College of Commerce. He holds an MPhil in the area of accounting and finance from Department of Commerce, Delhi School of Economics. He is a fellow member of Institute of Cost and Works Accountants of India. He joined Income Tax Department as Assistant Commissioner of Income Tax in Delhi. He worked as a director from 2002-2008 on deputation to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. He was closely involved in the setting up of Serious Frauds Investigation Office, execution of MCA 21 program, and also on setting up of National Foundation for Corporate Governance. In the period 2009 to 12, he joined as Director Tax Policy in the Department of Revenue, Ministry of Finance. He was also a member of International Expert Group constituted of UNICITRAL for working on indicators of international commercial frauds. He also worked as Commissioner of Income Tax in Punjab, Himachal Pradesh and Rajasthan, dealing with corporate and non-corporate appellate matters. He had been appointed as a member of the committee constituted by CBDT for drafting tax accounting standards. He has also been a member of Committee of Income Computation and Disclosure Standards MAT issues. Previously, he was working as an executive director in IDBI and looking after the work relating to registration, monitoring and inspection of service providers in the IBC ecosystem consisting of insolvency professionals, registers, valuers, insolvency professional agencies, registered valuer organizations and information utility. Over to you, Mr. Kumar. Infrastructure finance, a bitter spot in new normal economy. To you, because we know the risk associated with the kind of infrastructure finance, the large kind of investment it is required. There is of course a fear of NPA and the kind of sentiment that the entire India is going through from the lockdown period to the various new normal days and the next normal days which will be coming in. What is your view on that? Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnab. Thanks for your kind words. I think you have given me an elaborate introduction, and much of it is, I don't know whether I was lucky to be there at the right place at the right time. But of course, the given mandate is infrastructure finance, a better spot. I would say truly in this role, I find that after being in this role for about more than a quarter, I realized that collecting taxes is a much easier job than actually disbursing funds to the infrastructure sector, which of course comes with a lot of riders and a lot of conditionalities are attached, and a lot of ifs and buts are there in terms of what is going to happen in the future, and future, as we know, is very uncertain. Especially, I think these are very challenging times. If we know how the world is passing through the COVID pandemic 19, the events have unfolded in last more than a year. If we find, and I realize that yes, if the economy, I think everywhere the world over, the consensus if the emerging economies have to grow at a faster pace, then obviously the only remedy is to kind of give increased support or increased spending in the infrastructure sector, which is a kind of catalyst for other sectors to grow. The infrastructure sector, if it grows, then along with the steel, cement, and all the wheels of the economy, glass, whether it is metals, everything starts moving in the positive direction. And of course, India being no exception, I think the consensus is gradually emerging after the kind of fiscal stimulus which the government has been giving in last more than 9 or 10 months. I think the consensus is that uh, to move towards a faster growth, if the economy has to accelerate at a faster growth, then obviously the focus is going to be on infrastructure sector. And we are hoping that the government would come up with some more positive steps in the coming budget to propel this sector and take the growth to a newer height. As we know that the government has already in 2019 come up with a national infrastructure pipeline for 2025, wherein more than 1.11 lakh crore rupee is going to be spent on creation of infrastructure projects. And the government is very serious in terms of setting up the various policy groups and monitoring groups, not only in the ministries, but even at the Prime Minister, in the Cabinet Secretariat, and the Prime Minister office is closely monitoring the progress of various projects. Now, given that funding infrastructure finance, yes, it is going to be very, very challenging, because in terms of the techno-economic studies, the feasibility studies, the projects in infrastructure have to be not only technically viable, but also financial and economic viability is a kind of trade-off which often conflicts, bring us to a point where we as public sector institution, as government companies, have to look and go for it, because sometimes if we cannot behave like a pure commercial bank, which purely are guided by the I would say the financial viability. We at times have to look beyond financial viability. We have to go for economic viability of the project. When I talk about economic viability, then I'm saying is the kind of economic impact that particular project which is being financed is going to create, whether it is the number of jobs it is going to create, the in terms of the local area development, the impact it is going to create, how many households are getting employed in that, and how many, in terms of area impact, how much is the development catchment area where it is going to make an impact in terms of number of suppliers, or whether in terms of number of customers, the kind of product which it is going to be there. So these are in kind of challenges which are there for the sector to grow. And yes, these are the challenges which we as a responsible institution, we always go beyond that, and we look beyond the pure financials. So as regards the institutional financing, I think there are a number of things which need to be done and which can be done in shortest possible time, is the which government is also examining the possibility of monetizing the assets, the in terms of infrastructure sector, because the demand for money is too huge on this sector. And the idea is once the assets or projects are completed, they start yielding a return. That is how we have seen that some of the assets are being monetized. And in fact, a lot of PPP projects we see where the projects were modified. NHAI has also monetized them in a big way in last couple of years. That is a big change which has come in this area. And the same thing has happened not only in transport or road sector, but I would say even in energy sector, that is happening. And of course, in airports and ports also, we are seeing that once the projects have commenced their successful commercial operations, new operators are being brought in. And we know that some of the foreign institutional investors, whether pension funds, PE funds, who want a steady return, and India is a success story, which is a growing success story, and people want to enjoy that fruits. So InvITs and new forms of investments are taking shape. And going forward, I visualize that there is going to be a great trading market in terms of not only REITs, but the units of InvITs also being traded actively on the exchanges. That is, I think, something which is going to happen in the times to come. As regards whether it is a sweet or bitter spot is concerned, I believe that the at present the economy is passing through a surplus liquidity state where commercial banks are flooded with funds rather, and the as regards the credit offtake is concerned, that is a big challenge which all the players in the financial market are facing. And as a result, we have seen the interest rates are now touching globally almost negligible. If you say that is going to act as a disincentive to the future savers also, especially in a developing economies, it is going to be a challenge. But with the commercial banks funding at rates to the infrastructure projects at very low rates, which are linked to the MCLR rates, I think that is going to be a big challenge. There needs to be some sort of thinking, and I expect that Bengal Chamber of Commerce and institutions, industry and trade bodies have to come up with and look at it, whether it is a healthy trending or not, and if at all that funding has to go, to what extent there has to be cap. Because once the interest rate curve starts rising, the whole set of infrastructure projects may become overnight unviable. So that is going to impact not only at the, I would say that is not only going to impact adversely the individual corporates or the projects, but the project itself may undergo a dynamic change in terms of its economics. The whole viability of the project will be in question, and in turn the financing institutions will be under stress and strained by being flooded with a kind of NPA problem which may emerge on account of asset liability mismatch or on account of project being not able to service adequately the returns for which it was planned out. So in that sense, a developmental financial institution or a long-term provider of finance like IIFCL, the role comes into picture, because we provide long-term door-to-door funding of with a maturity period of more than 10 years, and our rates are also more or less fixed at the start of the borrowing period itself. So once you have a stable tenor of the loan, you have a stable rate structure in place, obviously it may impinge on the short term. That is, at this point of time, it may sound a bitter, but in the long term, I think it is going to be a sweeter pill for the project, because if project computations are based on these kind of rate of interest and the financials, then I'm sure it is going to survive the next 10 to 15 years, when the interest rate cycle typically goes in a cyclical fashion. Fortunately, now we are at the bottom, but this interest rate cycle is bound as the momentum of the growth economy picks up. The interest rate cycle is likely to go up, and then with that, the attendant risk would be taken care of by an institution like ours. So I expect that yes, some of the changes which we may need to make, or put a cap in terms of commercial bank lending to the infrastructure projects, that has to be brought in some sort of self-discipline by the industry, or if need be by some sort of direction from the government or the central bank may be required in that sense going forward in the long term. But yes, at the outset, I would like to say that I came from the insolvency board. My last tenure was there, so having seen the working and the kind of problems which NPS bring in, so I would love and wish that infrastructure sector sails through smoothly with those kind of conservative computations being made while going for their financial viabilities, while going for their financial structuring, whether going for their the whole project architecture has to incorporate all those kind of issues. And this is going to be challenging in terms of implementational issues. And I would like to compliment the Bengal Chamber of Commerce for taking this at a very this is a very topical theme at this juncture, and this is probably the flavor of the season is that yes, infrastructure finance has to grow if the economy has to grow. And then probably India needs also a couple of domestic financial institutions, because that space is like right now quite there is a vacuum in that space. So probably if India has to grow bigger, then we need more players in this ground, and with a wider ambit also, and with a wider pool of funding being made available to the industry. And we expect and hope that yes, the something very good will be announced in the coming days by the government. And government is, we are aware that is seriously deliberating on the proposal. So let's hope and wish that something good come up. With these words, I would like to thank Arnab and Bengal Chamber for giving me this opportunity to share my views on this forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar. Just before ending with just a quick question to you, that you were discussing something about the cyclical factor of the interest rate, which is, we are fortunate that we are at the lower level right now, and but you have also compared that the commercial banks will have will be able to offer at much lower interest rate for the infrastructure finance. So what is the kind of recommendation for the particularly this in terms of interest rate that you want to take forward for from the Chamber of Commerce?
I would, what I was, I'm saying was, my issue was that when you are looking at a mix of finance, then the project implementer or the company has to, project executing agency has to look into a basket of sources of finance, not only tying up, suppose it is 1,000 crore project, you end up tying up all with a at 7.5 or quite close to 8, and with all linked to MCLR rates. You know that MCLR is today this, and plus some margin. So it is bound to increase, and then it may go up to 10, 11, 12, let's say after a year or 2 years. Then the whole economics would undergo change. Then at least 30, 40, 50% of your project has to have a stable long-term rate, let's say 9, 9.5 or 10. So then at least based on that, you make project computations and financials. So that is what in terms of evaluating the long-term health.
We will be in touch with your office and we'll take these suggestions. We'll make it a note, and we will, with our proceedings and all, we will make this strong note for our recommendation set. So, and we would of course take your guidance for preparing that note. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Kumar. Thank you. Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure to have you with us. With this, we end up this session 2 on infrastructure finance, a bitter spot in new normal economy. Mr. Kumar had expressed that how the overall infrastructure finance is happening in India. And now we will have a quick break before we come to railway infrastructure. We will join exactly at 2:30. Thank you all.
Thank you.